friends at Urology Partners of Nebraska.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
It takes hard work to make Nebraska the right place to raise a family, build a business, or grow a community. We're counting on working parents to make it happen, and they're counting on childcare professionals to have their backs. Employers and other contributors can earn up to a $100,000 tax credit for strengthening childcare in our communities and state. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Buffalo Wings and Rings today on 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everidge. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. If you don't know, now you know. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join yours truly. What you're going to hear is Husker sports, college football, and sports in general. What you're going to get is unique insight, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. So I talk about often how this show is loaded. This legit is one of the most loaded shows I think I've ever walked into the ticket with. I'm staring at a screen full of information, and it just doesn't end. There were so many sports that went on, from wrestling, by the way, 2 national champions. I mean, Beach volleyball is going on. Softball got a sweep. Baseball is playing against USC. Spring football starts today. What are the major storylines out of there? The men's basketball tournament, Jake. I hate the SEC.
I noticed.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Because on social media yesterday, I went out and I said, I don't hate the SEC. So I don't hate the SEC. I just don't respect the arrogance that is displayed, the insane level of arrogance that is displayed from time to time or a lot of the time. And I think the other thing that annoys me about it is I've seen Lane Kiffin talk about, oh, we're not just better than everybody else. It's a whole nother level. Like they're the NFL of college football, yet Lane Kiffin has never coached in the Big Ten Conference. He was at USC for like 2 minutes, Knoxville for maybe 90 seconds. And then he went down to FIU. Now he's at Ole Miss. So how many games have you realistically coached in the Big Ten? Just as an example. Paul Feinbaum openly talked about, and I actually gained respect for him. We played the clip here. He openly said, basically, the Big Ten is much better than he thought. And he hadn't even watched a Penn State football game until the playoffs. He didn't really know much about Kurt Cignetti. Yet he's offering strong opinions about these teams and about these coaches. But he's like, and he openly admitted this, and then he basically apologized. This was right after the football season, and he earned so much of my respect. He's like, basically, I'm going from SEC game to SEC game to stadium, or whatever the case may be. He's like, I don't have time. So my thought was, why were you so strong in some of your opinions to begin with? But hey, nobody's perfect. I appreciated him going back and saying, hey, this is the truth. Maybe the SEC isn't as dominant as we thought, or as good as we thought. And I've talked from time to time during the men's basketball season about how the SEC is not supposed to be good at basketball. I guess we have 94 teams in your conference. We have more. So what do we have, 80,000? You're eventually going to get some teams in. So the first round, you may be aware of this, they had 14 teams in. They only had 8 come round 2. It's the most amount of teams any conference in the history of college basketball has ever gotten into the NCAA tournament. I think it was 11 was the previous record. All right. It was 11 teams was the previous record. It was also the most amount of losses any conference had suffered in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which was 6. Come round 2, the Big Ten, which had 8 teams get in, had 8 teams in the round 2. They went 8-0. The SEC also had 8 teams, but they started with way more. So I decided to have a little fun when we went through our bracket. I was open and very honest about my anti-SEC bias. Of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16, do you know how many are from the SEC, Jake?
I do.
Don't say it with such joy.
I kind of like the SEC.
What? All this time and you've never brought this up? All right. I know how many are in. Tell the fine folks.
Seven made it.
And that is
new record.
I was going to say that is a what starts with an R. That is a record. 7 of the 16 frickin' basketball teams into the Sweet 16 for the men's basketball tournament from the SEC. You know how I started red hot in the NCAA tournament bracket challenge? Like on Friday, we looked at the results from Thursday. I only had 2 games wrong, I think, out of 16 or whatever it was. That is no longer. We did a Carriker family bracketology challenge. And at first, I was first. I think I'm about 6th out of 8. You know, there's like 6 children in my family, right?
Yeah, that's not very good.
Thanks. Wow, you are having a great day. All right, Jake. Hey, I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when things are going on that maybe I saw it differently. In my defense, I have a hard time buying into the SEC being good at basketball because they historically have not been great at basketball. It's been Arkansas from time to time. It's been Florida. I forgot to mention them last week from time to time. And Kentucky, obviously, is usually pretty good way more often than not. Beyond that, there wasn't a whole – I'm not used to seeing Auburn and Alabama as number 1 seeds. Like, what is going on there? So in my defense, I had to see it in order to believe it. In my defense, I have an anti-SEC bias. So there was that going in as well. You know what my hope is? You know the irony of all this? The most ironic thing of all this. I still have a chance to win my family's tournament bracket, and do you want to know why?
Champion's still out there?
My champion is still out there. You want to take any guesses and know it's ironic as to who it is?
I'm guessing Auburn or Alabama.
Florida.
Florida, okay.
Nobody in my family has Florida. My 7-year-old took UConn because her favorite dog is a husky. Most everybody else, my son took Michigan, which I guess his champion is still alive. Everybody else took Duke.
The ironic part is my hopes of winning actually hinge on an SEC team. And by the way, when I was filling out my bracket, for me, it was like going into the bracket and filling it out. I was like, it's Duke or Florida. Like, I knew that was going to be my national title game. And looking at it, just looking at who Florida had beaten, who they lost to, looking at Duke, things of that nature. I mean, neither one of those teams could get in. This is the NCAA tournament. It is March Madness. But if this matchup happened, or who's most likely to get here was the other way I looked. Who's just going to get to the game? I just felt like it was Florida. And I put my anti-SEC bias aside when I picked that game. And now the irony is I'm like rooting for Florida like nobody's freaking business. Who's your champion? Who do you got winning the bracket? Remind me.
I picked Duke. I mean, I did multiple brackets, but in two of my brackets, I did Duke, and one I did Tennessee over Florida. But I don't know if you watched that UConn game with your daughter. That would have been an exciting game to watch with her because Walter Clayton had to hit some huge threes down the stretch for them to escape and get to the Sweet 16. UConn made it tough on him.
Dude, Hurley was mad.
He always is mad.
Yeah, that's true. He's like Creighton basketball's favorite coach in America. Don't I have that factually correct? Isn't that correct?
I think there was a vote. Yes, I think that's where it landed.
Is that how it worked out?
Yes.
All right, here's a couple other interesting things. And then we have got a plethora of Husker sports to catch up on. We've got national champions to talk about. Nebraska football, spring football starts today. A whole bunch of things to talk about. But this is the first time the Sweet 16 is composed entirely of major conference teams. Since the Sweet 16 officially began in 1975, only 4 different since you got to stop at the appropriate spots. This is the first time the Sweet 16 is composed entirely of major conference teams since the Sweet 16 officially began in 1975. Period, stop, space. Okay. New paragraph. Only 4 different conferences are represented this year. Every other Sweet 16 had at least 7. So I've seen everywhere on social media, NIL, the transfer portal, things of that nature has kind of played a huge role in the lack of madness in March Madness. What are your thoughts on that, Jake?
I mean, you don't want to you don't want to overreact, right? This is a small sample size, just one tournament here. But at the same time, I mean, you're talking about historic numbers, right? Since 1975. So, I mean, I think that it's probably going to be a trend we're going to see moving forward. I don't think it happens to happen the same year the SEC breaks the record. It gets all these teams in. The SEC, as we know, has been getting the most money from football, along with the Big Ten. Big Ten's doing well. I mean, the Big Ten has struggled. We'll see if they can find a champion, but because they haven't had a champion since Tom Izzo in the year 2000. But a pretty good weekend for the Big Ten. It's been that long.
I knew it had been oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. You and your daggers every day, man.
But no, I'm just pointing.
No, you're right. You're right.
There's just a lot of, like I said, short sample size because it's one tournament, but there's a lot of like historical points that would lead you to believe that. And look at FAU, the Final Four team from a few years ago. On that team now, they've got 3 guys in the Sweet 16. None of them play for FAU. They play for Tennessee. They play for Michigan. They play for Florida.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of the perfect example. And it's crazy. I was surprised. ESPN, by the way, there's 0 perfect brackets left. And I was surprised considering there's a lot of chalk in this tournament.
I also saw this random post from ESPN. There are 0 brackets left that have also not gotten at least 1 game right.
I saw that too, yeah.
I thought that was interesting as well. For those interested, all right, there are 4 Big Ten teams left in the tournament. You got 4th seeded Purdue, 4th seeded Maryland, 2nd seeded Michigan State, who you and I both have into the Final Four. Remember that right?
Yep, that's right.
And then Michigan, who's a 5th seed. Now, if they both win, if Michigan State beats Ole Miss and Michigan beats Auburn, Michigan State in the Elite 8 to go to the Final Four. That will be a can't miss basketball game for so many reasons. All right, one more final thought here. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you're so inclined, send your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, and or otherwise to this number. And we will, if something we need to be corrected on, if I need to have more anti-SEC bias, feel free to let me know. If I need to chill out on the anti-SEC bias, send that Jake's way. He'll relay it to me. Anyway, send it to this number. What is that number?
402-464-5685.
And again, just to be clear, I don't hate the SEC. The SEC and the Big Ten are clearly the 2 best conferences in America. I just get annoyed when I see people who I know haven't spent much time out of the SEC bubble. It's a rather large bubble, but it's still a bubble. And then they want to pretend like they're just God's greatest gift to earth. And the arrogance just bothers me sometimes. And then when they were losing the bowl games and they were losing in the playoff and they were getting mollywopped by all these Big Ten teams, it was like, I go by results on the field, not opinions spewed from your mouth. And so with basketball, it started out good, but we'll see what happens. I'm curious. Knowing the SEC has way more teams, okay? I won't go Final Four because there's only 4 teams that get in. It's kind of a small sample size. Which conference, the Big Ten or SEC, which conference do you believe will get more teams into the Elite Eight?
Probably the SEC. I mean, they've got the numbers advantage, and I think they've got probably favored, at least when you look at the Big Ten. You mentioned there's a couple 4 seeds, Michigan State, probably the ones you feel pretty comfortable with, but they have to face each other in the Elite Eight, maybe if you get there. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of teams. There's a lot of SEC teams in there. By the way, good point off the text line. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Is that someone said that Scott in Minnesota says Houston used to be a mid-major. And the Big 12, you look at them, they got 4 seeds, and Texas Tech, I think, is the only one that was in the Big 12 like four years ago. So part of it might also just be there's more teams in the major conferences. The Big 12, adding the UCFs and the Houstons and all that, that takes away from the mid-major numbers as well.
No, that's a great point. Just by the sheer numbers, the size of the Big Ten, the size of the SEC, your odds are, I mean, it's a basic, I'm not a math major here, but basic math, the more teams you have in your conference, the more chance you have to get into a 64, 60-18 team field. And I was about to point out the Big 12, 4 teams in as well. The ACC, which at one point in time, not so long ago, I would have said the Big East for a time when I was growing up was the best basketball conference. Then I would have said the ACC. They've only got 1 team left, Duke. And I talked about, and I remember the surprise on your face when I said it before the ACC tournament. Obviously, there was matchups of ranked teams in the ACC tournament. Before the ACC tournament, in the ACC conference games that were played this year in the regular season, there were 0 matchups of ranked teams versus ranked teams. 0. Kind of adds to why there's only 1 team left, and that is Duke. That is Duke. That is left. I had a final thought on March Madness. This is college sports only. I think this was on Twitter. They posed the question, which we've already, I don't know if we really discussed the answer, but is NIL and the portal taking the madness out of March? Would a dull opening round, I think this was after the first round. Would a dull opening round, obviously we haven't had a show since Friday, the most blowouts with no major upsets, 20 of the 32 games were decided by 10 plus points, an average margin of victory of 17 points per game. 1 through 4 seeds went 16-0. Again, this is after the first round, before round 2, with the games decided by 23 points per game. NIL is hurting Cinderella is NIL hurting Cinderella in the soul of the tournament? I don't know if we've directly addressed that. What's your thoughts on that? And then we'll move on, Jake.
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, those are a lot of numbers that kind of stack against the opposite argument there. And sometimes you could argue that'd be a good thing. I think that the upsets are exciting. And that's kind of what you want to start the tournament the first 2 days, right? So we kind of didn't have that crazy first 2 days this year. But as the tournament gets further along, I think generally you want kind of heavyweights in there. So, that could be a good thing. But yeah, I mean, I think I just think it's hard to argue against at this point. Like you said, the disparity in those games, that's kind of what hurt. The excitement of the first couple of days as well is that there just wasn't a whole lot of buzzer beaters that, are games that were really close coming down to it. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we're seeing it at just, we talk about it in football and in any sport. If you have success at a smaller school, there's going to be somebody there to bid you higher and get you to their school. And transfer portal has been, it's kind of a nuance to college football, but it's kind of been around in college basketball a little bit more heavily used before, but now it's really there. So yeah, I think it took away a little bit of the excitement. And that's why I think there aren't any perfect brackets out there on ESPN anymore, is because everybody goes through it and you look like, oh, well, I just too much chalk. This never happened since 1975. I got to pick a Cinderella. So I think everybody went out of their way to pick a Cinderella. And I suppose, a 10 seed Arkansas might fall in that category. But there's still SEC power program. I mean, a lot of money down there.
That is the closest thing we have to Cinderella right now, is a 10 seed Arkansas team. I hadn't even thought about that. I don't have a whole lot to add to I pretty much agree with what you said. My final thought, I've always thought, I mean, March, I never understood why we went to 68 teams. And then the one year, I think it was like the first year we did go to 68 teams. That's the year VCU won a playing game that made the Final Four, almost made the Final Four or whatever. So it like validated. Nobody's done it since, by the way. I don't hate the 64 team field. I don't hate March Madness. It absolutely. How many people who love college basketball love March Madness outside of the school that you root for? Like how many people actually sit down and watch college basketball games during the regular season? And the only reason I bring that up, we don't need to go down the rabbit hole with this, but I'm staring at 6 SEC teams that had losing conference records that got in. I don't know. And 5 of them lost in the first round, but obviously the SEC is doing just fine at this point. I had quite the conversation with Rob Zadika and Travis Justice yesterday on their show, Doc Talk, and we were debating because Rob, I swear to God, he wants 64 teams in the college football playoff. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe not. I don't know. Because I'm that guy that's like, I always thought we needed more than 4 because the debate between who's best and who deserves to be in, when you have that debate, you end up leaving somebody out. Why don't we just go to 8 and just make it easy? But don't go beyond 8 because then you don't destroy the regular season like I kind of laid out with college basketball. I've always thought even maybe 10 because then you could maybe include the G5 teams as well. And then if you do 10 teams into a playoff, you know, maybe the top 6 get a first round bye and 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9. Maybe those are your play-in games. We know that's not where it's going. That's not the way it is. At some point, I haven't done it yet this offseason. I want to sit down and I want to figure out and finalize if I were college football commissioner, just saying, I should be, if I were how I would do it. I just haven't taken the time to do it yet this offseason. There's always so much Husker sports going on, so much sports in general to talk about. There's no shortage of stuff. But you know what? Let's go to break. When we come back, Nebraska wrestling. Mark Manning. We discussed about a month ago, the Mount Rushmore of Nebraska coaches. And most people right off the top were like Bob Devaney, John Cook, and Tom Osborne. There's so many coaches that could be in the conversation to be on the Mount Rushmore because that leaves one spot wide open if you want those 3. From Terry Pettit to Mark Manning to so many other coaches over the years. Okay. This dude has been one of the best coaches in all of college athletics for over 2 decades. And he wins the NCAA Tournament Coach of the Year award. And we're going to talk about wrestling when we come back. The 2 national championships, the 8 All-Americans, the highest team finish in the history of Nebraska wrestling, number 2 in the country. He's done a phenomenal job. And I'm glad that he's starting to get a little bit more of the recognition that he deserves. And frankly, I think Nebraska wrestling, they do a great job. We do a great job here on the Ticket of covering it. DP was there all weekend. I mean, they win a national title, walk right off the mat, and they walk right over to DP. Like, that's pretty freaking cool. But I think Nebraska wrestling should be getting even as much publicity, maybe even more than they've currently gotten to this point. That's why I talk about so many Husker sports to so great length as much as I can, because I want to talk about and bring eyeballs to as many Husker sports as possible. I've always felt that way. Am I a former football player? Yes. Am I always going to be a little bit biased towards football and certain things? Yes and no. You got to remember, I wasn't allowed to play football for a long time growing up, so basketball is my favorite sport, and baseball is the one I actually thought that I was going to play beyond high school. So I love talking all these sports and doing the research and watching the games as much as possible. And doing the research to talk about all these sports is frankly a lot more time consuming than if I just walked in here, sat down and talked football every day. Talking one sport versus as many as you can is a lot more challenging. That's not pity me, woe is me. No. I enjoy doing it because these sports need to be talked about more. And when we come back, and as much as possible, when we come back, we're going to talk about Nebraska wrestling and their record-setting phenomenal weekend at Nationals.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R. Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Join Jay Foreman, Eric Strickland, and Austin Norman this Thursday, March 27th at the brand new Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane as we celebrate MLB opening day and the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. That's Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. at Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day. With a light breeze, we'll see an afternoon high around 66. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and light winds, the low around 40. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies and it will be breezy. An afternoon high around 70. I'm meteorologist Kyle Bucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Nebraska wrestling. 2 national champs. Ridge Lovett wins the 149 weight class and Antrell Taylor the 157. They both won NCAA national titles on Sunday night, helping Nebraska wrestling to its best. It says Sunday night. It should be Saturday night, right? Yeah. All right. Saturday night to its best performance and highest finish ever at the 2025 NCAA Wrestling Championships. The Huskers finished as NCAA team runner-up number 2 in the country with 117 points. Nebraska garnered 8 All-America honorees at the tournament with 3 semifinalists and 2 champions. Nebraska's title winners bring home the first individual championship since 2011, and that was Jordan Burroughs. And the first 2 in a year Wow. Since 1984. Jim Scher and Bill Scher. I was born in 84. That is a phenomenal weekend for Nebraska wrestling. Mark Manning is the 2025 NCAA Tournament Coach of the Year as well. Penn State, by the way, won the overall. They were pretty good all year long as well. But what were your thoughts as you were watching this tournament unfold? And after the first round, I saved a screenshot of this. All right. This was at Big Ten Wrestling on X. So again, this was after the first round. So after Friday or Thursday. What was the first day of the tournament? It was Thursday or Friday, Jake? I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, so that would be Friday of last week, is going to be a good one. The Big Ten has 13 out of the 20 wrestlers in the NCAA championship finals. It should be noted, the SEC does not do wrestling. I'm just putting that out there. But what were your thoughts as you were watching this weekend unfold? Because I loved it, and I'm like, you could see the excitement of the team. I loved watching the reactions of the crowd. I loved watching DP on social media and with the interviews and the interactions and everything. I thought that was all awesome. I love the coverage that Husker Wrestling received this past weekend. And I just like Mark Manning in general. I was excited to see him win that award. And Nebraska win 2 individual national championships, finish number 2. I say number 2 in the country. That's just how I phrase it, but runner-up in team total points. What were you thinking as this weekend unfolded there, Jake?
Well, it's just cool to see Nebraska kind of rise to where they were. Intrell Taylor and Ridge Lovett weren't seeded number 1, right? So they weren't supposedly supposed to win it, but we're able to do that. And just a really good performance altogether from Nebraska wrestling. At one time, even flirting with surpassing Penn State there in the point standings.
Yes, very close.
But so, I mean, it was, and you know, just kind of talk to people going into it. It was kind of who's going to get second, because Penn State, that's just where they are. 4 straight national titles now. By the way, no team outside of the Big Ten has won a national title in wrestling since 2006.
Take that, SEC.
So
Boom!
it's been a while. So, I mean, it was just cool, though, because generally Nebraska obviously puts up a good fight. Maybe we saw from the Big Ten wrestling meet where they finished second to Penn State there. It was kind of like maybe that should have been, kind of forewarning that, hey, maybe this is the second best team in the country. Getting that done at the Big Ten, obviously the best conference in the country. But, Mark Manning's team, like we said, has just one way or another not finished this high. Nebraska wrestling has not finished second. So to see them rise to that level, to see national champions crowned for the first time since Jordan Burroughs was on campus, really was something special. And just to watch it kind of unfold. And, there's going to be talks about, different media outlets not being there or whatever, but Nebraska Twitter, or to see kind of social media kind of pick up the buzz during the college basketball games, right? Where it's like, yeah, there's some games on, but you really should be watching Nebraska wrestling right now. Was really cool to see. And so, hats off to Mark Manning and all those guys. They did a wonderful job. And hopefully at some point we'll see. I mean, this is the momentum. When you finish second and the team that's above you has won 4 straight, you're now the team that they're probably looking at and saying, well, that could be our biggest challenge. So we'll see if they're able to take that next step. And obviously if they do, that would be a national championship step. And then we can throw a parade.
It was interesting because when I did the Doc Talk show yesterday, Travis Justice, Rob Zadek is a big time into wrestling. His daughter Piper, big into girls wrestling. And so wrestling, of course, came up. And Travis Justice, he's a big Iowa guy. He's kind of like, oh, we're just not what we used to be. I didn't say anything, but man, that was just nice to hear. I'm just saying, it was just nice to hear. If we could start to see that in other sports as well, that would just be the coup de grace. I do want to bring this up. Wyatt Hendrickson, the Oklahoma State heavyweight, goes against Gable Steveson. If you don't know, Gable Steveson, Olympic gold medalist, former WWE wrestler as well. But this dude is legit. He doesn't lose very often, as you might imagine. 285-pound weight class. And there's a clip online. Oh, you know what? I'll send it to you. It's one of my favorite you have to hear it before I imitate it. Otherwise, it just sounds like I'm screeching. The announcers lose their mind. I think the pick The clip picks up with about 41 seconds to go, somewhere in there. Gable Stevenson's up 4-2. 41 seconds to go. It's over. It's a wrap. It is done. All of a sudden, Wyatt gets a two-legged takedown. 3 points with 30 seconds to go. And the crowd is going crazy. The announcers, you can hear them like, it's almost like they think they're dreaming, but they know it's real. They can't fathom what's going on in front of them. And then Wyatt had Gable. Gable, it wasn't over. If he could have gotten an escape, he could have gotten 1 point and tied it up 5-5. He tried. Wyatt took him right back down. And with 13 seconds to go, the announcers just lose their minds. And it's like the greatest thing ever. Wyatt ends up winning the national championship, upsetting Gable Steveson, one of the best ever, 5-4. And I can't believe I didn't send you that clip. I'll try to find it and send it to you. The announcers are hilarious, especially at the 13-second mark. I played it for my kids, and they just kept playing it over and over and over. They're losing their minds. Did you watch this at all?
I did see the clip. It's crazy. Just the way they're calling it the biggest upset ever in wrestling.
Yes.
So it kind of reminds you of maybe, when Ronda Rousey was on her run, or Mike Tyson, when, just this historic upsets that you just go, that the whole nation is betting against you. Everything's against you. And you're just supposed to take your licking, but you go in there and get that upset is crazy. It was very enjoyable to see that. Now I'm a big, obviously you mentioned the WWE ties, so I kind of like Gable Steveson and I'm cheering for him. But in this case, I think it was probably better for the sport to get that moment.
Mm-hmm. Bigger upset. The 1-2-3 Kid, the first Monday Night Raw ever beating Razor Ramon, or Wyatt Hendrickson over Gable Steveson. Which was the bigger upset, Jake?
I have to give it to Hendrickson here because it wasn't scripted.
Well, that answer just makes too much sense, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to go back to Ridge Levitt's win, national championship winning match. It was 1-0. 1-0. That was the score. I just thought that was pretty cool. All right, a couple other updates real quick. I mean, we got a ton of updates real quick. This one isn't so insanely pleasant, so we're going to move past it. Well, I guess I'll dive into it real quick. All right, Nebraska baseball. They fell 7-1 to USC in the rubber match of the weekend series on Sunday afternoon. They had split the first two games 1-1. Nebraska 10-13, 2-7 in the Big Ten, scored 1 run on 7 hits and 2 errors, while USC 14-9, 4-5 in the Big Ten, totaled 7 runs and 11 hits. All right. Unfortunately, Nebraska did fall to USC, which now puts them in that third game. Okay, it puts them well under 500, but it puts them 16th in the 17-team Big Ten standings. I'm not gonna lie. My first question when I saw that is, which Big Ten team doesn't play baseball? Do you happen to know, by the way?
Michigan State, maybe? Let me look.
Yeah, go to the Big Ten standings and just see who isn't there. All right.
I think it's Wisconsin, actually, now that I think about it. But I'll double check.
Is it Wisconsin? Okay. That would be interesting. All right. Here's another update. Former Nebraska volleyball All-American Merritt Beeson is set to be the next head volleyball coach at her alumni, all right, Gardendale, Alabama High School. She will continue to play professional with the Atlanta Vibe in the Pro Volleyball League, but she is going to be the head volleyball coach at her former high school. I just thought that was kind of a cool little update there as well. All right. I wanted to get to, where'd softball go? I just had softball. They had a sweep over the weekend. There it is. All right, Nebraska softball leverages a sweep over Minnesota. The Gophers kind of killed themselves, if I'm being honest, with a bunch of errors. But it's part of the game. The number 21 Nebraska softball team took advantage of 6 errors to defeat the Minnesota Gophers 8-2 on Sunday afternoon in Bowlin Stadium. 5 of the Huskers' 8 runs came in the bottom of the third inning, which also consisted of 5 errors by the Gophers. The Big Red improved to 23-8 on the season with a 4-1 mark in conference competition, while Minnesota falls to 13-18 and 2-5 in Big Ten play. So Nebraska softball, if they can get rolling, I mean, they're having a good season. I don't want to say get rolling as in, they've been struggling. No, they've been having a good season. But if they can get some wins piled up, get going, and when they do get the opportunity, which doesn't happen a ton in Big Ten play, to play some ranked teams, pull out some wins, I think that would be big time, if nothing else, as far as confidence. when you start to roll into the postseason as these weeks roll along. Here, some other post-game notes. Kennedy Williams made her first start in left field for the Huskers. That is Amy Williams' daughter. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that.
All right, double check that as well. All right, Hannah and Lauren Cummins combined for 9 hits across the Huskers' 3-game winning streak this past series. Nebraska stole 4 bases to tie its season high as well. Minnesota's 6 errors marked the most by a Husker opponent since Illinois committed 8 on March 23rd, 2024, just a little bit over a year ago. Did you get any confirmation on Wisconsin? Do they or they do not play baseball?
They do not play
All
baseball or softball.
Austin gave us the thumbs up.
And
Appreciate
Kennedy
that.
is Amy Williams' daughter.
So, she's a 2-sport athlete in college. I feel like that hasn't been talked about at all. She's on the basketball team. Okay, the Nebraska women's basketball team. You don't have to double check this. Like, if it's her daughter in softball, she's playing collegiate softball and collegiate women's basketball. I knew she was playing basketball, and I knew she was big time in both sports in high school. I didn't remember for sure if she was also on the Nebraska softball team. So she got her first major action, first start this past weekend. So that's exciting to see as well. All right. Let's see. Should we head to a break here? And then when we come back, we will fire through the rest of the Nebraska sports updates. I mean, we've got rifle, we've got gymnastics, we've got swim and dive. Beach volleyball won like 22 matches in a row during their beach volleyball season so far as well. All right, all sorts of updates, and we got a clip. Women's basketball season. All right, good game against Louisville. Couldn't get it done on Friday. Britt Prince fouls out at the end. Obviously, that's a little bit frustrating, but we will, like I talked about going into the game, like they have found a way to overcome injuries and overcome a lot of things, a bit of an up and down season, but they found a way to make a bit of a run in the Big Ten tournament. They were a 10 seed, battled hard with a very good Louisville basketball team as well. We've got a clip of from A.B. Williams after the game as well. So we're going to play all that when we come back. But before we go, I had Nebraska women's basketball into the Sweet 16, and you hated how I did that on Friday.
That's right.
So I had Nebraska, like Louisville, Nebraska was a complete toss-up. So I erred on the side of Nebraska, which meant they would have faced the Big 12 champs, TCU, basically on their home court in Fort Worth. And TCU could have been a number 1 seed. And I had Fairleigh Dickinson, a 15 seed, upsetting the number 2 seed, TCU. And then I had Nebraska beating Fairleigh Dickinson to get into the Sweet 16. And you hated that. You hated that I, like, in your mind, manufactured a way for Nebraska to get into the Sweet 16 of the women's tournament.
Yeah, without picking them over TCU.
Well, it's March Madness. I was banking on a little bit more madness that we've gotten. I started off red hot in these brackets, man, and I have just cooled off. Come on, Florida. I need you. Help me out, Florida. All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Electrical Enterprises in Roca reminds you the men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country. Their commitment and courage keep our country safe and strong. Let's honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty and salute those who serve today. This from Electrical Enterprises in Roca. For all your residential and commercial electrical construction needs, call 402-438-5822. They're on the air reminding everyone that we live in the land of the free thanks to the brave.
The electrical workers of local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Early break.
All I can still picture is him talking to Bill Murray's son. And that was one of my, I could just see him. Hey, listen, your dad was awesome in stripes, but you need to shuddy. You need to shuddy.
Shut your mouth,
Shuddy.
Mr. Murray.
Yes, your dad was incredible. And what about Bob? Just stop.
I've never heard shuddy before.
Hey, I love
Groundhog. I'm going with that now forever. I love
With Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
It takes hard work to make Nebraska the right place to raise a family, build a business, or grow a community. We're counting on working parents to make it happen, and they're counting on childcare professionals to have their backs. Employers and other contributors can earn up to $100,000 tax credit for strengthening childcare in our communities and state. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We're going to get to our final Husker Sports Roundup. But first, we got two clips to play for you fine folks at home. The first one. All right, right off the top, let me give it a little precursor here. The first one right off the top is Amy Williams. All right, a passionate Amy Williams when asked about the questionable charge call on Britt Prince. But she talks about more than that in this clip. Okay, and I thought it was a good clip to play. And go ahead and roll that clip now, Jake.
Just how incredibly proud I am for her to just have the confidence that she had to be able to make the plays that she did all night long and to want the ball in her hands to go to the basket in that moment. And she's a winner. They're all winners. These two young ladies sitting up next to me. Lex talked about how she came to that first team meeting. I just want to win after winning a couple straight state championships. And Logan was the state champion and Britt was a 4-time straight state champion. And they're champions that know how to win and want to be in positions to want to make plays to help their team win. And this was no different. I mean, I look at the box score. We gave up 18 offensive rebounds. They had 27 points off of our 24 turnovers. By all accounts, it should be probably a tail kicking, but it wasn't a tail kicking. It was a game, and we had a chance to win this game. And it's because those kids believe in themselves as winners. They compete. They play with each other and for each other. And it's a special thing that I wish I could just bottle up, but something I'm incredibly proud of all of them for, including Britt Prince.
I honestly thought that was a great summation of the season. There were things that went right. There were things that didn't go the way you would like. There were things they had to battle. But the way they fought, they scratched, they clawed. Obviously, they would have loved to have gotten the win versus Louisville and then beaten either TCU or Fairleigh Dickinson. All right, either one that would have showed up there, Jake. But I thought that was a phenomenal summation of how I watched this team, and I watched Coach Williams, and I watched the players on this team kind of approach the season. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't always the way that you wanted it. But she said it could have been a tail kicking with all the turnovers and all the rebounds that they allowed and the turnovers that they had. It could have been a tail kicking. It wasn't always pretty, but they fought, they scratched, they clawed. To me, I could describe the entire women's basketball season that way. And they found a way to get way more dubs than L's. And that's why I wanted to play that clip. You got any final thoughts there?
No, it's just, obviously a great season for them. They had their challenges, and I thought they did a really good job. Obviously, sending off the seniors. Alexis Markowski had an incredible career, and we'll see where it goes. It feels like the women's basketball team. It's tough to get to the Sweet 16. It's tough to be one of those elites, and we'll see if Nebraska can take that next step. Obviously, the young Brent Prince will go a long way in doing so.
Getting a couple of players back from injury next year will help. Obviously, going to miss Markowski. We'll see what they can do through the portal as well. Maybe we'll see Kennedy Williams a little bit more on the court next fall and winter as well. All right. The guy that went viral, he got 6 NIL deals. McNeese's manager. All right, obviously McNeese lost to Purdue in the second round, but Oricon now has a customized Under Armour jumpsuit. Company reps flew to the NCAA tournament overnight to get it to him so he could wear it in round 2. McNeese is done now. But I just thought that was pretty cool. And someone even texted me. Too bad McNeese is getting waxed by Purdue right now, but I guess he'll ride off into the sunset with his 6 figures. Not a bad weekend for my friend there. All right. You got that clip. Does Austin have that clip ready? All right. I want to just around the 13-second mark. It's like one of my favorite calls ever. All right. Go. And you can play the full 41 seconds or whatever it is. Go ahead and roll that clip.
30 seconds left. Oh, he's to the left this side. Slide off. Oh, get big here.
The Olympic champ is about to lose. It's 13 seconds. This could be it. Oh my goodness. The biggest upset in the history of the NCAA. Could this be it? Yes, he has done it. Why have such a big game of station? Why have such a big game of station? Oh my.
That's 13 seconds. Is that even close? Dude, you can hear the crowd. You can hear the announcers. Like, that is what I love about top competition in sports and top moments in sports. I wanted to play that because I find it highly entertaining. I love the passion and emotion that's going into that second. It's an enormous upset. I mean, that goes without saying. I love the reaction. I love everything. But in the day and age of NIL and transfer portal and college sports becoming so transactional, moments like that can't be forgotten about. And those are the moments that I personally look forward to. All right. A couple of other things here real quick. Shout out to Emma Spence. All right. Emma Spence earns the bars title at the Big Ten Championships. The Nebraska women's gymnastics team took 9th place at the Big Ten Championships on Saturday in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with a score of 196.175. Emma Spence grabbed the bars title in all sessions, tying her career high with a 9.975 score. This was the first bars title for the Huskers since 2015 and the highest bars score, easy for me to say, in the Big Ten Championship since 2001. 24 years since there's been a score that high. Her season high all-around score of 39.575 was the highest since Emily Wong in 2013. So I wanted to give that a shout out for sure. We've interviewed Emma here. Obviously going to continue that on to nationals. She still could potentially win what is dubbed the Heisman Trophy of women's gymnastics yet this year as well. All right. Nebraska beach volleyball finishes the season 22-3. Now, they won 22 matches in a row. That means they started 0-3, which means they won 22 in a row. 0-3 is shocking. 22 is insanely impressive. Both of those things I thought were pretty cool and worth pointing out. All right. Men's gymnastics. All right. Keep an eye on men's gymnastics as well. They did fall to number 5, Michigan. But despite individual titles by Asher Cohen and Chase Mondi, the number 3 in the country, Nebraska men's gymnastics team were edged out by the number 5 Wolverines on senior night. Okay. But some great performances there. Keep your eye on them going forward as well. And I'm kind of scanning here, making sure I don't miss anything. Nebraska rifle athletes Emma Rode and Maddie Moyer earned All-America honors from the College Rifle Coaches Association, the CRCA, on Thursday. Rode was named a first-team All-American in aggregate and in small bore while earning honorable mention honors in the air rifle. Moyer, who competed in the NCAA championships and took 37th in the small bore, earned honorable mention accolades as well. You know what the real question is, right, Jake?
What's that?
Can they beat me in duck hunt?
Yes.
That you said yes? Hey,
I bet they could.
How dare you? No, they probably could mollywop me. All right. 7 Huskers earned academic All Big Ten awards. 7 members of the Nebraska women's basketball team earned academic All Big Ten recognition when the conference announced its annual awards for the winter sports season. All right. Alexis Markowski, Kendall Moriarty, Allison Wiedner. All right. Junior Kalen Hawk, Logan Nisley, Jessica Petrie, and Natalie Potts. As far as we know, they're still referred to as student athletes. Is that correct?
I believe so.
You believe so? Okay. Well, that's what I thought as well. All right. Men's golf, last 2 things here. And then at the top of the hour, we're going to dive into Nebraska spring football starting this week. All right. So, Sotron leads the Huskers to a top 5 finish at the Johnny O. Rudy Sotron posted his 4th individual top 10 finish of the season. Again, this is men's golf, tying for 8th with a 139, 1 under at the Johnny O at Sea Islands in St. Simons, at St. Simons Island in Georgia. Easy for me to say. A lot of S's in there. Okay. So the men's golf is off to a pretty rock solid start. So keep your eye on them. The women's golf, let's see here. The spring break shootout in Dade City, Florida. All right. Takahashi leads the Huskers with a top 5 finish and earns Big Ten Golfer of the Week. That's Mayu Takahashi. Leads the women's golf team to a top 5 finish at the aforementioned tournament and Big Ten Golfer of the Week as well. So shout out to all Husker sports, all the athletes that are competing. All right. Tomorrow is going to be Nebraska's Pro Day as well for football. So shout out to everyone who is pursuing their NFL dreams. When we come back, Nebraska spring football practice starts today. It started today. We're going to dive into some of those headlines and things of that nature. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, 4-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off your enrollment. The next 10-week challenge begins on April 12th. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day. With a light breeze, we'll see an afternoon high around 66. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and light winds, the low around 40. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies and it will be breezy, an afternoon high around 70. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
All right, welcome to Hour 2, ladies and gentlemen of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Now, it's interesting because I've talked about the Carriker Chronicles football camp, just promote it briefly, at least once a show, let people know. I'm starting to get a bunch of questions about it, and people seem to be pretty excited. People are registering, people are signing up. So if you didn't know, the Carriker, the inaugural, I was told I shouldn't say first ever annual because I was told it's not annual until year 2. And I'm like, well, how do I phrase this? They're like, hey, English major, which I was not, or a math major, business administration. They go, it's called inaugural, which I guess that means first ever annual, much shorter, better way to say it.
I think it's just taking annual out.
I think they're just giving me crap. And anyways, I'm about to say it again. The inaugural Carriker Chronicles football camp is July 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in good old Lincoln, Nebraska. All right, Eric Crouch is going to be there. Amon Green, I will be there. Other Huskers that I'm talking to at this moment in time will be there as well. All right, autographs, T-shirts are included, boys and girls, K through 8th grade. All right, check it out. Learn more about it at carrikerchronicles.com. Register at carrikerchronicles.com as well. Spring football, Jake. We get to hear from Matt Rule and what is, I think, 2 or 3 players tomorrow for the first time after practice. So we don't know what happened today. I assume they went out on the field in practice because we were told they were going to. Practice number 2 is tomorrow, press conference to follow. So we will be dissecting all of that information tomorrow. So I've got all these lists in front of me. Okay, I got these different lists, 5 keys to Nebraska's storylines. Okay, and then I've got another one, what is it called? The 4 questions for Nebraska spring ball for Nebraska football heading into spring ball. There's and by the way, Dylan Raiola's like all over both of these lists and other lists that I've looked at too. So we will chat about Dylan Raiola at some point. There's all these question marks. We have hired so many new coaches. Okay, we have a ton of new players. We're not going to have a spring game for the first time ever. There is so much new, 29 new faces for spring ball in this Nebraska football team, by the way. How many of our starters will be new next year? We don't know the answer to that yet. We could sit here and project, but how many are going to be new next year? Well, probably over half the team, starting with the defensive line and a majority of our linebackers and things of that nature. What is the biggest storyline? Because we can go through all of these. In your mind, and I want to know, ladies and gentlemen, text in. All right, what's that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
It's still the same, but text in the number one storyline in your mind. What's the biggest question you're looking to get more information about? I don't know that we get full answers in the spring when it comes to the fall. Okay, but what is the biggest thing you're looking to get a significant amount of more information about this spring? Let us know. What's the first thing or the biggest thing that comes to your mind, Jake? And then we'll talk about that topic. I don't know what you're going to say, so I'm very intrigued.
Well, I mean, there's lots of moving parts, lots of things to dissect, like you said. But I think if we're honest, we all know that the focus for Husker football fans is going to be on Dylan Raiola and how much better he can get and prepare himself to get better for this sophomore year. You know, that kind of pairs along with Dana Holgorsen going in there and having full control of the offense, right? Not just inheriting an offense and trying to make the best of it. So, you know, there's a lot of question marks all around the team, but Dylan Raiola is going to have the most intrigue. And I was going to ask you this because, you know, it's not a secret. A lot of people will say and know in football that you will often take your biggest jump from freshman to sophomore year. Do football players, Dylan thinking that when he steps on the field today for the first day of spring, he says, okay, I'm supposed to get way better this year. Here's the start. You know, is there added pressure on him this spring?
Oh, there's absolutely added pressure. First of all, the last name, the 5-star recruiting ranking, the process that unfolded. And I've said all offseason, you want to appear at basketball games, you want to appear at all these things, cool, better win. You don't think that adds pressure? I could argue a little bit self-imposed. If you're going to appear publicly, that's awesome. Better win. That adds pressure. I think that's a fair thing for me to say. And I have no problem with him and Emmett going out doing their thing as long as the results on the field follow. The way I've always phrased it is, if that's part of the package, then that's cool. Is there added pressure? Absolutely. The expectations go up, and they rightfully should. Not once before we play our first game in Arrowhead versus Cincinnati will you hear me use the words Heisman, All-American, any of that stuff, because I think that's too big of a jump to expect. What we've talked about in the past and what I'll bring up again, first of all, the Big Ten has a bunch of new quarterbacks. Oregon's got a new quarterback. Ohio State's got a new quarterback. Michigan's got a new quarterback. Illinois, okay, has a returning quarterback. Penn State, Drew Aller. How many other teams outside of Nebraska, Illinois, Penn State realistically have a returning quarterback? It's so many new faces this year. And here's, in fact, something else. I didn't know if I'd use it today, but here we are. The 4 teams, when you just look nationally, the 4 teams with the best odds to win the national championship as we sit right here, right now, and I'm not saying Nebraska's a national title contender right here, right now. Too early to talk about anything of that nature, but just in general, the 4 teams with the best odds to win the national championship of college football next year are Texas, Georgia, Oregon, and Ohio State. They will all have brand new starting quarterbacks. And they all, this is the part that stuck out to me the most actually, return less than 50% of their production from last year. It's probably going to be a chaotic year. And I thought this was a great line. Just in general, just in general, when there's so many question marks, having a little bit of returning production, experience, okay, it depends on the situation. Because if you don't see very well, out of one eye and you only got one eye, you're going to say, I have bad vision. But depending on the situation, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man all of a sudden becomes a king. What I mean by that is we have a few things that other teams don't. There's things that we don't have that other teams do. When you have a returning starting quarterback, okay, the expectations will go up. I have said, and we did a segment, I think in January, where I asked the question, is it fair to ask if Dylan Raiola will be one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the Big Ten? And I think that's a fair thing to ask. And I don't think being like, hey, which would mean first team All Big Ten, second team, third team, honorable mention. It means he's some sort of an all-conference quarterback next year. I'm not even saying first team, but is there something all-conference, blank, honorable mention, blank, second team, all-conference? I think that's a fair expectation for Dylan Raiola next year, given the hype, given the offseason, given the experience, given the talent, given the tools brought in around him through the transfer portal, wide receiver. You got a solid starting running back. You got Dana Holgorsen calling the plays. We're in year 3 under Matt Rule. I feel like it's a very fair expectation, and the expectations have increased. I had to talk several people down last year when they'd get mad at me about halfway through the season. But Adam, he was a 5-star, still a freshman. But Adam, all the hype and talent, he's still 19 years old. Well, now I'm going to sit here and say he's not a teenager. He's not a true freshman. He's the most experienced returning true freshman quarterback in the entire country. Played more snaps, threw more passes, played more than any other true freshman quarterback in the entire country. So it's fair that the expectation, if you want to phrase it with the P word, pressure, and pressure is a privilege. If people don't expect anything out of you, then there's no pressure. That's almost an insult. If people don't expect anything out of you, pressure is a privilege. Expectations are a privilege. They have absolutely increased. And I love the way you phrased it at one point. We should win games because of Dylan Raiola, not in spite of Dylan Raiola. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it like you said, it's a big year. I mean, I obviously looking at the all Big Ten type of teams, you know, Drew Eller is seemingly far above anybody else. Like you said, Luke Altmaier in there. Don't forget Jaden Mayava. I'm going to keep bringing him up. I think he's got
he only
a lot
started
of
3
upside.
games, so I forget. But that's a good point. Yes,
but
yes,
I think he's going to be pretty solid. So when you look at that, though, I mean, I don't think anybody outside of Aller is probably, even with how good Altmaier and Mayava looked at times last year, I don't think they're necessarily locks to be all Big Ten type of quarterbacks. So I mean, it's obviously out there, but it's going to be a lot to ask. I'm glad that you said, you know, I think mid-year last year, and I keep bringing this up, is that we probably, if it had replicated the second half of the year as the first half of the year, we would be talking Heisman. We would be talking, taking that huge step to be an All-American. The way that last season ended, I think it's fair to kind of pull that back a little bit. You can hold it off, maybe wait till junior or senior year. Hopefully takes that step so that we can put him in that conversation going into next season.
Well, I'm saving that for next year. I am. Junior year. You know, like you said, maybe senior year. If at the end of this year, it says Dylan Raiola, 3rd team All Big Ten, there's some people who are going to be like, dude, he was a 5-star. He started for 2 years. He should be at least first team. Argument to be made there. I'm not saying he can't be first team. I'm not saying he can't be All-American. I'm not saying he can't be these things. When you talk about expectation, it's a realistic goal in front of us. That's how I define expectation that I literally just made up on the spot. A realistic goal that's in front of you. Okay. Not far reaching, not underachieving. Realistic goal that's in front of you. Is that a good definition? I literally just made that up.
Say it again.
You know, stop taking naps over there. Realistic goal that's in front of you. Is that a fair definition of expectation?
Yeah.
Literally just made it up. I'll be honest with you. I don't even think honorable mention All Big Ten. If it said that, I'd be okay with that. But I think second or third. Drew Aller is going to be the heavy favorite to be first team All Big Ten. Penn State has a ton of returning talent. They're easily going to be a top 5, if not top 3 team in the preseason poll next year with all the returning talent that they have next year. If they can find any wide receiver to just catch a football at some point, They might be preseason number 1 or 2. Texas with Arch Manning is a lot of people's preseason number 1. Gag me you, but I get it. I understand it. If we were to do a preseason poll, I'd probably put them there right now. And I wouldn't be very happy about it, but I try to be objective outside of the SEC. So my point is simply this. I think it's very realistic to look at Dylan Raiola and be like, it should be blank, all Big Ten, which means, hopefully, and to give more specific goals than just that. Because I said last year, I would like him to complete at least 60% of his passes. I would like him to have a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio and just do what it takes to move the chains. That was my only goal. And if you think back to 2 years ago, that would have been a gigantic upgrade from what we had 2 years ago. Okay, with all due respect to the quarterbacks from a couple of years ago. He completed 67% of his passes. His touchdown to interception ratio wasn't quite what you'd like, 13-11. It was 9-3 at one point, and then the second half of the season happened. Okay, and as far as moving the chains, there's just one play that sticks out in my head that I've got to let it go. The slide, USC, right before the chains. But as an overall whole, he was a definite upgrade. The first half of the season over what we had the season before. I think the second half of the season, teams made adjustments, and I'll put it back on the coaches. You got to be able to adjust to their adjustments. So it's a little bit of both. When Dana Holgorsen comes in and the offense looks within 2 weeks like it did versus Wisconsin, not a great team, but they still moved the ball up and down the field versus Iowa. Didn't score enough points, but there was other things that factored into that. Had no issue moving the ball against Boston College. Just 2 block kicks and some of the other things made that game way more interesting than it should have been. For me, for Dylan Raiola, to be more specific, 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio is a must. Not a goal, that's a must. That's not an expectation, that's a must at this point. The goal is 3-to-1. The goal is 3-to-1. And somebody actually pointed something out to me a couple weeks ago. They said, Adam, completing 60% of your passes now in college football, everybody does that with all the bubble screens and all this and that, and the RPOs and the short passes. They're like, if you're not completing 2/3 of your passes, you're not a very good quarterback. I was like, man, that's a fair point. Completion percentages are higher than they've ever been in today's college football and the way offenses are ran. 60% a year ago was the goal because the year before that, we were combined in that quarterback room 51% completion percentage. So 60% was a gigantic jump. Dylan obviously jumped up to 67%. Here's what I would say. Maintain the 67%, but I want the yards per pass to go up. Dane Key averages 14 yards per reception. And Isaiah Hunter, 15 yards per reception. I'm cool if the completion percentage stays 67, doesn't go up at all, don't go down. But if that yards per reception doubled to 14 or 15, or even just 8 or 9, because it was well below that, honestly, 8, 9, 10, I'd be pretty happy with that. And as far as moving the chains, I think that kind of comes back to knowing when to run, being the appropriate weight, which we've discussed, knowing when to run, being able to move quick, be a little bit more nimble on your feet, knowing when to slide, knowing when to go out of bounds, knowing when to lower your shoulder, which is not a lot, but on 3rd and 1, lower the shoulder and fight for that extra yard. Those are my specific goals for Dylan Raiola. What are your thoughts on those things?
Yeah, I like those goals. But you just kind of come back to what's the help around him going to be, that offensive line. I mean, I think some of those goals is like, okay, I think he could definitely be on pace for those. But then we get to the Michigan games, the Penn State games, the Iowa games, when you're playing really good defenses. How much time is he going to have? Obviously we talk about those offensive line. How much will the running game be there to support him? It is, we kind of get this, we just kind of put it all on Dylan, right? We put it all on the quarterback. It's not just Dylan, it's anywhere in football. But there's going to need to be a big step for this offense ahead of him. And again, that's why, when you kind of think about what's the number one thing this spring, there's a lot of different ways to go down it, but that pairing of Holgorsen and Raiola, that's what gives me confidence more than anything. It's just Holgorsen's past working with several different quarterbacks and being able to put up numbers regardless of who it is. Now you give him somebody with the talent of a Dylan Raiola. You put some wide receivers out there. They've done a good job of that. Still going to be that offensive line to see how much time they have, or are you going to have to rely on too much of those dink and dunks where you might have 70% pass completion percentage, but Ja'Cory Barney averages like 7 yards a reception?
Just get the ball in that man's hand in space and let him do his thing. Tavon Austin 2.0. That's what I see. All right, so let's talk about some of those portal guys before we go to break. Nebraska brought in 16 guys through the portal. 1890 stepped up. They spent quite a bit of money. Them and about 6 other teams. There were 7 teams in America that spent more money in NIL, recruiting class, transfer portal players, current players on the team than any other team in the country. Nebraska was one of those 7 teams. All right. This is the biggest class through the transfer portal we've ever had. Like I said, 16 and the most expensive. I would say probably about 12 of them are expected to contribute a lot right away. And as far as the actual amount of guys probably projected to start, I'd say they're about 8. But we'll see what happens throughout these position battles throughout spring. You look at guys like Dane Key, Rocco Spindler, Dawson McCullough on defense. Okay, Williams and Wari. We'll see what happens with defensive lineman Jalen George. I know he's out this spring, but this is a guy who was an all-conference player at a lower level. Now he's playing here at Nebraska. Can he contribute come fall camp, earn a spot? He's a guy we need to help play right away. Elijah Pritchett at the offensive tackle spot. The aforementioned Isaiah Hunter. We've chatted about Hardly Gilmore before as potentially a surprise player or overlooked player. Andrew Marshall has an inside track to potentially earn the starting cornerback job. And maybe along with Ja'Cory Barney, Quentin Ives, one of the returners. I think a lot of people, including myself, expect Marquez Watson-Trent to step in, start, play, hopefully be a tackling machine for us. Don't overlook the guys on the teams of special, Jack McAllister, Kevin Galick, uber important individuals. Special teams cost us at least 2 games last year. Okay, Marcos Davia, quarterback depth, quarterback battle. What happens with him and TJ Lateef, Jalen Gromstad? How does that all work out? The D-line, we have a combined 7 total starts amongst all the defensive linemen in that room. And I don't know that that's a terrible thing. Riley Van Poppel, highly recruited, has played in a lot of games. You can say the same thing about Keona Davis, played in a lot of games. Everyone was really excited. He enters the portal. He comes back, if you remember that, last winter. A lot of talent, a lot of athleticism. They're going to have to play and contribute early. What can they do? All right, some of the other guys, Gabe Moore was the guy that kind of prompted that as I'm looking at his name, the Mississippi State transfer. A guy, you look at his high school stuff. I mean, he redshirted at Mississippi State, but his high school stuff is pretty impressive. We'll see how it translates a couple of years later now that he's at Nebraska. Justin Rhett, Jameer Khan in the secondary. Okay, let's see. Anybody else you can think of that I have not listed just yet? The only other thought I was going to share real quick, and then we'll see what you've got, Jake. We'll go to break. We brought in impact players via the portal. We talked last week about the swings and misses that we've had via the portal, or guys who didn't reach their potential. Isaiah Nayor, Jamal Banks, Micah Mazuka, a lot of these guys that didn't reach their potential. We have had way more than 50% of the portal guys that we brought in not pan out even close to the way we would like. That's a really bad batting average. Great in baseball, softball, almost 500. Not very good in football transfer portal percentage success rate. So that has to be exponentially higher. Exponentially higher. We have brought in some impact players in the past. Zaire Wright, late last summer. Marcus Washington, remember, May 2022. Okay. What are your thoughts there? Then we'll have to break, Jake.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They need a higher hit rate on those transfer portal guys, because I do think we look at it in our mind, like you said, all right, let's give this guy the starting spot here. Let's move this guy in, as many as 8 or 9 of those guys. And, that's good to think. And it would be good to see it play out, because then you're thinking, okay, we're improving the team. We didn't have these guys last year. But at the same time, don't be too upset if a few of those spots are taken by retaining guys. That means that they're getting better. Development within the program is something we've been asking for a long time too. So especially when these kind of high-end guys, it would be interesting to see who we're writing down in pencil to be our starter. If somebody is able to beat them out for that spot, see what the response would be among the crowd. Is maybe are we worried? Did we miss in the portal, or is there actually a lot of development happening? Because all this portal stuff, and yeah, you can build some quick hit teams through the portal. It's no longer like, I wonder if it can happen. Colorado, Indiana, we've seen these things can happen. But what's been missing at Nebraska for a long time has been elite. They like to use the word elite development. And in year 3 under Matt Rule, that's what I expect. I mean, he's taken off in year 3 the previous stops, and that's a lot of it has to be on development and building that culture and all that stuff. But these individual players that have been in the stable, getting better, ready to go, they're looking a lot of that on their offensive line, their defensive line, guys that have been kind of waiting their turn, and those are going to be big positions to see them fill.
Dude, I think our development hasn't even been average. How do you bring in higher, just go back to the Big Ten West days, which wasn't that long ago, 2 years ago. We out-recruited every team in the Big Ten West every year except for one time. One time, Wisconsin had a higher ranked recruiting class than us since we joined the Big Ten years ago, about a decade and a half ago. One time we got out-recruited. Yet where did we finish? We have not. How many talented players have we brought in? The development has been subpar, and I'm being absurdly kind. Now, you make a fair point. If a transfer portal guy comes in but he doesn't start, is that because he's not as good as we thought, or somebody beat him out and got better? What I'm pointing at, because that's a fair point, what I'm pointing at is guys who did start and didn't play well. Banks, Nayor. Mazuka did start, got benched. I mean, when you're at the airport the day before a game in the middle of the season, I mean, what in the world is going on? I know they thought he was the most NFL-ready offensive lineman in that offensive line room. I know that. So for me, the guys who actually do end up starting, it can't be because, I was going to phrase this in a not nice way. I don't want to say the lesser of two evils. It's because you're the better of two good players, not you're just the better of what we have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything from the text line that we can address when we come back? Maybe I can think about it during the break.
Yeah, different people have different thoughts about what the biggest thing to look forward to is for this spring. 3172 says, can the run defense stay status quo from the last 2 years? He doesn't like watching teams like Wisconsin and Iowa run for 300 yards on us.
And 3/4 in the snow. Anyways, another one.
Derek in a car says, running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. That's what we want to know about. So many unproven and unknowns. Big B says O-line and D-line, and Money G in Kansas says offensive line.
All right. I have written all those down. Run defense, DBs, tight ends, wide receivers, just the whole team. Okay. I got it. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Tuesday, April 1st, Wolves plays West Ham at 1:45 p.m., followed by Nottingham Forest versus Man United at 2 p.m. On Wednesday, April 2nd, Newcastle plays Brentford at 1:45 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Everton at 2 p.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 70 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today. When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes. Feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Koppel also has over 10,500 off list on new select models. So please stop on by and see what confident driving and confident buying is all about. We're right down 144th Street or online at koppelcars.com. All deals with the roof credit, 0% is standalone.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day. A light breeze. We'll see an afternoon high around 66. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and light winds, the low around 40. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies, and it will be breezy, an afternoon high around 70. I'm meteorologist Kyle Carriker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Early break.
All I can still picture is him talking to Bill Murray's son. And that was one of my, I could just see him. Hey, listen, your dad was awesome in stripes, but you need to shuddy. You need to shuddy.
Shut your mouth,
Shuddy.
Mr. Murray.
Yes, your dad was incredible. And what about Bob? Just stop.
I've never heard shuddy before.
Hey, I love
Shuddy. I love Groundhog. I'm going with that now forever. I love
With Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, ladies and gents, you have asked for it, and we will respond. These last two segments are dedicated to the run defense, defensive backs, tight ends, wide receivers, O-line, which is underlined because it was asked for multiple times, and the defensive line. Jake, let's start with the run defense. You look at that run defense, it's going to be all new starters. Cam Lenhart has 6 career starts. Okay, Elijah Judy has 1, so there's the 7 that I aforementioned earlier. There are a lot of talented guys up there. Riley Van Poppel, Keona Davis. I mean, Cam Lenhart, 2 years ago, I don't want to say, it's not that he didn't play well last year, but he flew into the radar somehow last year. And obviously we had Ty and we had Nash. Jamari played well, but it's not like he was just blowing the doors off. So I'm kind of curious to see how he bounces back his junior, because, man, his true freshman year, he was a very welcome, great surprise. I want to see that guy again. We need Judy to step up in the middle. You got Gabe Moore coming from Mississippi State. You've got all these guys with talent and ability and inexperience. The run defense in the second level, still a lot of young guys, a lot of athleticism. When you look at Vincent Shavers Jr., look at Willis McGahee Jr., whoever else may end up starting. And to be clear, the jobs still have to be earned. They still have to be earned. Just so people know, at one point, Nebraska's D-line coach told me I wasn't good enough to play here. And there's a particular guy in the media at one point wrote I was too slow and athletic, going to go have to play on the offensive line. So I know what it's like to be buried, especially when there's another guy in my own recruiting class who's a number 7 defensive end in the entire country. So I understand it's got to be earned. I've talked about certain guys are going to get more benefit of the doubt because of what they're getting paid. And I'm fine with that. It was the same thing in the NFL. But at the end of the day, it's got to be earned. All right. The defensive line, the run defense obviously starts up front. You look at the second level, you look at Vincent, you look at Willis, you look at all these guys, Marquise Watson, Trent, you look at McCullough coming off the edge. Williams and Warray, anticipated to be an edge rusher, is listed as an end somewhere right now. Like, it's going to start up there. We're obviously going to blitz a lot with like multiple defenses, 3 down, 4 down, coming from all over. That's what Rule, that's what Butler, that's what they love to do. Snow. But if you can't win at the point of attack, you want to know why Indiana ran all over us? You remember we'd given up 0 rushing touchdowns on the season before that game. Do you remember how many we gave up before half, Jake? 3. 3 before half.
Yeah.
We lost at the point of attack. So it starts at the point of attack with a bunch of guys who are big, strong, talented, and unproven. Unproven doesn't mean you can't do it, just means you have not done it yet. I can't wait to see. When I go to spring practices, that's the group I'm going to go watch first. The defensive line and then the offensive line. I'll watch Dylan's pretty balls from a distance. I'll make my way. I'll meander on over to where Dylan's at. I'm starting in the trenches. And then obviously if we're going to blitz and we're going to mix it up, you got to be able to get downhill on those blitzes. You got to be able to hit pulling blockers right in the mouth. Hopefully you're penetrating the gaps, able to hit them in the backfield, and you can create some tackles for loss. Before we move on, you got any thoughts there, Jake?
Well, just looking at the depth chart, it's kind of interesting. The most recent depth chart, the one that they had for the bowl game against Boston College. Do you think that these guys have to, and I haven't looked up their most recent weight, but as of then, Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher listed at 310, Riley Von Poppel there at 290. Do they need a few guys over 300? Or, I mean, because the rest of the group we're talking about, Keona Davis was listed at 255, Cam Lenhart at 260. So they're a little bit smaller than maybe what they were last year's on the defensive front.
First of all, take everything you ever see, height and weight, listed on a depth chart with a gigantic grain of salt. Second of all, yes, that is a concern. Being a little bit light in the britches is a concern, especially if you're going to run a 3-man front, whether you're blitzing or not. That is a fair concern. We also, to your point, do not have up-to-date height and weights that have been listed just as of yet. Or do we? Do we? And I just don't know about it. I haven't seen anything.
Let me look and see if this matches the current roster matches what they had on the game.
Okay. I'm going to go to the offensive line next. And we've talked about the offensive line quite a bit on the show, but it bears repeating. It bears revisiting. It bears looking at again. All right, so there are guys that are out for this spring, unfortunately. Henry Latufsky, Turner Corcoran, Teddy Prohaska, other guys. But there's guys that we need to play and contribute immediately in key spots. And Elijah Pritchett, someone we've talked about numerous times. The Alabama transfer. A decent chunk of that NIL went to that Alabama transfer. So for me, he's a talented guy. Just find consistency. At this point, you don't even have to find greatness. Just find consistency mixed with his talent and he'll be good. But can he find it? I've been told he needs a strong personality to coach him. That's fine. That's why Donovan Raiola is here. It's what he gets paid for. To work with all sorts of different types of players, physically, mentally, emotionally, backgrounds, everything, and the like. That's part of the job of being a position coach in a college football team. Offensive line is no different. So for me, a guy like Elijah Pritchett, I'm curious to see what Sam Sledge can do. To be honest with you, this is a guy that's kind of flown under the radar just a little bit. Rocco Spindler, obviously, there's some expectations with Rocco. And I kind of point to Slam. Hey, that's a great nickname. Sam Sledge, specifically because Henry Latufsky is going to be out. But a lot of guys are like Henry, Justin Evans-Jenkins, Rocco Spindler, you're starting 3. Again, it's got to be earned. Guys are out during spring ball. So can a guy like Sam Sledge make some progress? What about a highly recruited guy? One of the top recruits out of Hawaii a couple years ago, redshirt freshman Preston Tamua. Where does Grant Bricks? Does he get some reps at offensive tackle with Gunnar Katula out this spring? Does he stay inside? I'm curious to see who gets the reps in place of the guys who are out for spring ball. And then I'm curious to see, because spring ball is the time, if you're going to try a Grant Bricks at tackle, you're going to try him there. Maybe you put him back at guard in the fall if you need to. But who gets moved well, where, who gets these extra reps, and who capitalizes on these opportunities? That's how I'm looking at the offensive line. And I'm going to start with Elijah Pritchett. If he comes in and plays well, that's huge. It's huge. And it's big and it's enormous. And I'm not trying to put too much pressure on one guy, but I feel relatively decent about our interior offensive line, center, guard, especially when we're healthy. Gunnar played admirably last year. I know he's out this spring, but he should only be better next year as a tackle. The question mark was Alabama's worst statistical offensive lineman by far, and probably that same individual, the most talented offensive lineman in that room physically. And there's other talented guys in there. Not a shot at anybody. What's he going to do? If we can put him at left tackle and he can protect Dylan's blind side, that's huge. If it's a liability, that's equally huge in another direction. Thoughts, Jake, before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's you just kind of keep circling back to that. And of course, Nebraska did make a late push there on the offensive line in the transfer portal to land these guys, and maybe overpaid for them a little bit. You might be able to argue
not if they play well. If they play well, it ain't my money, but it
Yeah.
ain't overpaid if they play well. Gosh, sorry, go ahead.
That's the point. Is they've got the pressure of that to a degree to live up to, and they need to, and that. Hey, that's what tells you what's important to them, right? If you're willing to overpay for somewhere, that's where you know where your kind of hole is and what they're kind of focusing on. But I mean, I think with everybody healthy, like you said, I think you feel good about the inside. Justin Evans and Henry Lutovsky and Rocco Spindler in there, Gunnar Gatula and Eliza Pritchett on the outside. Then you have those hosts of younger players that hopefully are going to be pushing for playing time. But again, it's now, especially in the spring, you circle that health because health. It is not a healthy offensive line necessarily entering the spring. And then, again, you kind of have to go back when we're talking about that. Can you get anything? And I know we don't want to expect anything, but out of, Turner Corcoran or Prohaska, I mean, these are guys that have had plenty of starts, plenty of, especially in Corcoran. I mean, he's basically started the last 4 years here. Can you get close to what they were pre their most recent injury? And then I think you can start to feel pretty good about that depth there. The one concern again seems to be, and I love the Rocco Spindler edition, but still tackle. I mean, even if Elijah Pritchett can and Grant or Gatula can take steps and be sturdy on that tackle front, you just start to worry about the depth there again because they've just relied on the same tackles for the last 4 or 5 years.
When you were going offensive tackle, my first word out of my mouth was going to be and depth. So you make a great point there. Let's do one quick one. You choose and you start. DBs, tight ends, or wide receivers. Which one you want to do before we go to break?
Boy, that's tough. I think
we're going to do all three. Just pick
all right. Well, I don't know if we're going in importance matter here.
No.
But wide receivers, I think is one that a lot of people are going to be interested in. Moving forward, obviously you get Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter, and we talk about what is Dylan Riley going to look in the spring. Throw Harley Gilmore in there. Getting used to catching balls from Dylan Riley will be a big deal there. How much are they going to be? And I'm interested in your opinion on this. How much are they going to be kind of installing or looking for new parts of this offense that Holgerson's going to be bringing in, as opposed to just kind of running what they've had to get those guys caught up? It'll be interesting, but that's. Barney's obviously huge coming back, but they don't have, as far as returning players, they obviously went heavy in the portal there too, because they don't have a whole lot of returning production outside of Barney there at that wide receiver position.
Dude, I'm very intrigued by this because, like you said, everyone expects a lot of stuff out of Key and Hunter and Barney. You go next on the depth chart. The coaches have talked about they may be even more excited about Harley Gilmore. We did a whole thing on him about a week ago. Demetrius Bell, he's out this spring, but when he comes back in the fall, he was someone that excited the coaches last spring before he unfortunately got hurt. Janarian Parker's a guy to keep your eye on. Keelan Smith, redshirted. Neil Smith's son, just someone to watch. Isaiah Mosey, Cortez Mills. And I know spring ball in the fall, but there are so many potential playmakers in that wide receiver room. Potential playmakers. Who's going to be the best? Who's going to add depth? Who's going to rise to the top in competition this spring? I feel good about that room, not because I know absolutely who's going to start, although we project Key, Hunter, Barney. I feel good because there's so many guys. It's almost like a numbers game. Somebody's got to be good, right? Not that they can't all be good, but I'm like, there's so many potential playmakers. There's got to be at least 3 or 4 that pop out and step up. And by the way, that'd be the most depth we've had in quite a while, too, if we just had 3 or 4 pop out and step up, not just for starting purposes. All right, when we come back, we shall close the show talking about the defensive backs and a position that I'm very intrigued in, the tight end position. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I'm proud of my Nebraska roots, and I'm proud to be back home. And at Midwest Bank, they're proud to be your local community bank. They believe in family first, taking initiative, showing integrity, and rolling up their sleeves to support their local communities. They treat everyone like family, no matter where you're from. Whether you walk into a branch in York, Lincoln, Norfolk, or Pierce, you know you're going to be welcomed with a smile. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
Spring storms can unfortunately lead to power outages. While LES line workers go out in the storm, you can stay in, but you can also help by reporting your outage right away online at les.com/report.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Every home is different. Every family is different. So when it's time for a new heating and cooling system, why not get what fits you best? Get the perfect fit with Bryant. Maybe you need higher efficiency, better humidity control, increased warranty, or all the bells and whistles. Bryant provides options. Options in warranty, features, comfort, and efficiency while maximizing savings. Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111, or visit BryantLincoln.com. Bryant, whatever it takes.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call John Henrys at 402-435-5555 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-435-5555. Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Koppel also has over 10,500 off list on new select models. So please stop on by and see what confident driving and confident buying is all about. We're right down 144th Street or online at koppelcars.com. All deals with the roof credit, 0% is standalone.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. We're going to finish off this show talking about the DBs and the TEs, the tight ends. But before we do that, I didn't directly address Jake's question towards me. So how install kind of works throughout spring and the fall, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, or returning OC in DC. Basically, what they want to run in the fall, they're going to start day one of spring. They've already got the install mapped out. You get a book, install day one's going to be in there. You come in the next day, they hand you the sheets for install day two. The third practice, install day three. Boom. You come back for fall camp. Maybe they make some tweaks. Maybe they make some changes. Maybe they don't. Most times, it's the same install day one, same install day two, same install day three. Now, camp is longer, so there tends to be, if there's going to be any tweaks or changes made, it's more likely to happen in fall camp than it is during the spring. Did that kind of answer your question, Jake?
Yeah. Because I think that's important to know with two new coordinators or newish coordinators, I suppose, on both sides.
Yeah, they're learning right now. Well, they've had meetings throughout the winter. They've had these plays in front of them. You just start all the way over from the beginning with your basic defense and your basic offense day one, and then you build out each day. All right, let's talk about the defensive backs. What are your thoughts there, Jake?
Oh, well, I thought the defensive backs, obviously stepped down a little bit last year as opposed to the previous year. That's why some people might be a little bit in questioning the defensive coordinator hire. But in anyways, they've got a lot of people coming back. Obviously, Tommy Hill leaving, but they pretty much played without him for the last few games anyway. Isaac Gifford leaving. That's kind of my question. Who takes over that Rover spot? But I think you feel pretty good about Sierra Wright. Obviously, maybe your best defensive back there. Buford is back. Hartzog is back. I think you got to find a spot for those guys. I mean, they've been moving between corner and safety. Find a spot for them to really, at this point in their careers, both of them going into their senior year, to figure out what they're going to be doing with this team. And then I thought, Deshaun Singleton, I don't know why that felt like it was somewhat buried, his return. That's huge for Nebraska as well. And then you look down the line, like I said, they've obviously added some guys out of the transfer portal. They're hoping to get some help from Andrew Marshall and Justin Rhett. But don't forget about Donovan Jones, some of the younger guys, Caleb Benning, that started to get some action there in the bowl game as well. It feels like, without knowing that you have a lockdown corner or anything like that, you don't have a returning all Big Ten guy. Though I think Sierra Wright maybe could get there. It's similar to the wide receiver position, to what you were saying, is there's just so many guys there, and a lot of them with a lot of playing experience and playing time, that this secondary should be able to fill out pretty well. But again, I'm still intrigued to see who takes over that Rover spot.
I think fans are like, everything you just said indicates a very good secondary. But I think fans can't get certain wide open receivers from last year out of their mind. And you don't want to keep bringing those up, but until you see something different, that's the only most recent image you have. So I think fans are in a wait and see mode. I think they're in wait and see with a lot of things, which is very fair. Well, I'm in wait and see, you're in wait and see. But I think with the secondary, it's like, this guy's back. Then you add Marshall. Then you add this guy. I need to see it. You know what I mean? But there's reason. It's almost like we made the argument with the wide receivers. Like you said, there's just so many. Eventually, somebody's got to rise to the top. And hopefully, they're pretty good. All right, tight ends. Luke Lindenmeyer. How do you not like this guy? Just a workhorse. Kid from Omaha, a workhorse, does everything you want him to do to the best of his ability. Played well, started some games last year, looked good. Heinrich Harburg, one of the best all-around athletes on this entire team when you factor in size, speed, has the highest top-end speed of anybody on this team, unless there's a new transfer that took that belt away from him over the winter, which could have happened, but I'm not aware of it. Before the winter, I know he had the best top-end speed at 235 pounds of anybody on the team. Now, maybe he's put on some weight since then, too, trying to play a little bit of tight end. I do think he's going to be, depending on Carter Nelson's health, I could see Harburg and Nelson being those guys that move all over the field. Obviously, Carter's out this spring. We'll see what happens this fall. But you look at Lindenmeyer, you look at Harburg. We'll see what happens with Nelson. If he's back in the fall, man, that's exciting. Don't forget about a guy like Mac Markway, a guy who was insanely highly recruited. Transferred from LSU, hurt his knee, right? Was it his knee or hip?
Hip, yeah. We're hip.
Okay, his hip, but now he's
back.
back.
No, I'm thinking of Carter Nelson. Hold on.
I think it's his knee. Let me know in a second. All right, and he's back. He's healthy. He's ready to go. So many of these guys, you look at them, are insanely athletic. Nebraska has I've used that a lot of athletes. I'm not saying Luke Lindenmeyer's not athletic. He's one of my favorite players on the team, so I want to make that clear. He may be the best one because he does everything right the way you ask him to. And then you've got all these other guys in the mix. The tight end position battle, also because of the flexibility of what you can do with a Harburg, potentially with a healthy Carter Nelson, it just makes it so intriguing. What's this tight end battle? What's this tight end room going to look like? And what do some of these formations look like? Like, where does Harburg line up? Where does Nelson in the fall, if he's healthy, line up? Where are they just at, and what do they do with them? It's very intriguing to me. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Just Markway was the torn ACLs.
So was it? Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, that's pretty good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a phenomenal Monday. No cases of the Mondays allowed around here. I'll see you fine folks tomorrow. Go Big Red Noise. Remember to throw the bug.
I'm Chief Dave Engler. When a fire truck hits a pothole with 12 tons of fast-moving equipment and crew, it's a problem. On your ballot in April is a measure to continue Lincoln's quarter-cent sales tax for street improvements. A vote against